UFC 270 is the first big pay-per-view of 2022. And right now in New York, online sports betting is legal, so it's the perfect time to cash out. If you go to betonline.ag, you can place your bets for UFC or any sporting events. For this weekend, I think there's money to be made. I have a 4-fight parlay. First one, I got Ilya Tapora. He's an undefeated fighter. He just beat the tricky Ryan Hall. I think it's going to be tough for anyone outside of the top 10 to beat him. Next, I got Brandon Moreno. I love Figueroa, but I think he's just on the rise right now. I think he's going to get that win again. And then I also have Pereira. He's one of my favorite fighters. Super exciting. He's fighting a last-minute replacement debuter, so I think that's pretty much a lock. And the fourth one I'm going to add is different. We're going to go with the Buffalo Bills. If you kind of add multiple sports, it seems to up your odds. So we're going to go with those three fighters and the Buffalo Bills. And that's your parlay for this week. So we're back in the swing of UFC fighting for 2022. And this is the first pay-per-view card for UFC 270 in Anaheim, California. And we're going to break down just the main card. The rest of the card, not that it's not good. There wasn't like a fully stacked card of people that are
there's two like super fights,
right?
And that's all people are watching.
Yeah, so we're gonna break down the main card, and then so first fight on the main card is Rodolfo Vieira versus Wellington Truman.
Yeah, so you're gonna go with your predictions first.
We'll break it down and then say it at the end. So Rodolfo Vieira is a minus 225. He's 3-1 in the UFC. All finishes, and then Wellington is 2-3 in the UFC, plus 185. He's got a couple different submissions. He's got 7 subs, 4 KOs, so he has different ways to win. A lot of his recent losses were KO losses.
Yeah, I saw that Truman's 2-3 in the UFC, but the thing that stood out to me was that 2 of his losses are to Bruno Silva and Andrew Sanchez. They're both like pretty much grapplers. So I think that favors Vieira, and Truman's from Brazil too. So it's not like I could see Vieira struggling with an American wrestler who he can't take down.
Mm-hmm.
But most Brazilians, I think that he'll be able to take down to the ground. And then when he's on the ground, he's pretty much the top of the, as good as you could possibly be in jiu-jitsu.
Right.
So the only thing is that Truman does have a win over Sam Alvey. So he must be like tough and durable. Like Alvey's like a real like weathered vet. Like you have to be able to really fight to beat him.
Exactly.
And Vieira lost to, Anthony Hernandez, and he got submitted because he got exhausted. So Truman, if he could, push the pace, keep it standing, get him tired, of course he could win. But I think that Vieira's going to get it to ground pretty early and probably get a submission.
Yeah.
So my prediction's Vieira.
Yeah, I agree. I think you have to be a very strong striker with good defense is a huge problem for Vieira. But I think this matchup is good for him. So I'm also going to go with Vieira for that one.
Yeah, the next on the card is Cody Stamen and Syed Nurmagomedov.
Mm-hmm.
He's not related to Khabib Nurmagomedov.
Yeah.
But you know him.
Yeah.
From Jersey. Yeah.
Yeah, he trains, he does some of his camps in Jersey. And I think my coach, Mark Henry, is cornering him for this fight as well.
Oh, okay, cool.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so Stamen is like a longtime vet in the weight class. He's always been like a top 12-ish fighter, so he's definitely good. But he's coming off 2 losses, one to Marab, one to Jimmy Rivera. And he has another loss to Aljo. So it seems to me like he's like a wrestler. It seems to me whenever he can't get the takedown or someone's like a good grappler, that's a tough matchup for him.
Right. And Syed is definitely taller, long. He's from Dagestan, so he's very experienced with grappling and hard to take down. I think he has explosive striking, good spinning back kicks, kind of like tricky.
Right.
He's similar to Zabit in where he has like length and he has the defense. He does the throws.
Savvy.
Yeah, they're like always switching it up, lefty, righty. Throws a lot of kicks, like side kicks and everything. So I think for Cody Stamen being more of like the shorter wrestler, it's a pretty tough matchup for him.
Yeah, because I think that Nurmagomedov, he's not like the Dagestan's like Islam Makhachev or Khabib, who are like just like drag you to the ground and beat you up. He's more like you said, Zabit. but all those guys know how to grapple.
Exactly.
So he's going to have a really hard time taking Syed down. So my prediction is Nurmagomedov.
Same here.
Okay.
Next we have Michael Pereira. Am I saying that right?
Yeah, I think so.
Michael Pereira versus Andre Filio.
Okay.
So he is a replacement. It's his UFC debut, short minute replacement. I think Pereira was supposed to be on my card last week, and then his opponent, COVID, all that, and they were having trouble finding. I think they just found a replacement. But Pereira's 4-2 in the UFC. I mean, I guess you could kind of like 4-1. The one was that
one of them was that to Diego Sanchez in that freak show fight.
Yeah, that illegal knee. Yeah. His last win was in July against Nico Price. Pereira's like one of my favorite fighters. The first 2 fights that he had, I was like, oh my God, I can't stand him when he was like doing all the like not being serious, doing the backflips and all that stuff. But his last couple fights, he kind of stopped doing that. And I was like, oh my God, this guy's a crazy like striker. Yeah. I think you have to be, for someone that has like that type of like unorthodox and like a little bit wild striking, you have to be very experienced.
Disciplined.
Yeah, disciplined. You can't get rattled. You have to kind of be there. It's more vets, I think, are better matchup for them. But
control them in the cage, I think.
Right.
Yeah.
And and it's also like it's a big cage. He'll be like moving all around. It sucks when there's like a good fighter and then you're excited to watch and then they have like a last minute replacement. Because it's almost like, well, there's no expectations for the other person, especially.
And this fight's not going to do a lot for Pereira, even if he gets a win, because like his last fight, Nico Price, and before that he beat Chaos Williams, who's really, really good. Mm-hmm. So he's beating like the guys from like 15-10.
Yes.
So I would have rather him fought like, more like a 12th ranked guy to really, see how good he is. But I kind of think Pereira is going to run right through this and then have, momentum going into this year, because I think he's tough to beat for anyone in the division.
I think he's kind of right on the border of like becoming like a star in the UFC just because of, just how he acts and everything. So like you said, this fight might not do anything for him as far as definitely in the rankings, but I think being on a pay-per-view main card, he gets like a flashy, cool knockout or does something crazy. It'll definitely boost his stardom, I think.
Agreed.
But obviously we're going with him for that one.
Agreed. Then we have the rubber match, Brandon Moreno and Davidson Figueiredo.
Figgy.
Yeah, the first match was like super close. It was an amazing fight. It was just super back and forth. You didn't really know who won when it went to the judges' scorecards. And then the second fight, it wasn't close at all. It was like just a beatdown. Mm-hmm. The first round, Brandon Moreno just completely dominated him with striking. The second round, he secured a takedown, got his back and strangled him, got the easy win. But it seems like Moreno just keeps getting better. But the only thing that is a little interesting to me is that Figueiredo did his camp with Henry Cejudo. Mm-hmm. So if you're around Henry, you're going to get better.
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of what Weili did. But
didn't go great for Weili.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, he could train with Henry.
But that's what I'm
can't
saying.
Train with.
Yeah,
right?
That's the thing. Is Henry coaching him with training, or is he physically training with
That's
him?
a good question. Who knows?
Because I don't know. This is just my opinion. I would find it hard to believe that Henry Cejudo is like gearing up and sparring with him.
You're probably right.
Maybe
wrestling though.
Maybe wrestling, yeah. But also like, how much can you learn in like, 8 to 10 weeks? I think a little that, I think that when people do that for like one camp, I don't know. I don't put too much on it. Who knows? He might come out and just like out wrestle him and be like, oh wow. But I don't know. That's what like they kept saying that about like Weili, and I don't think that like I said, I don't get.
It's not the answer, right?
I don't think so. You don't learn when you're at this level of the sport, the top. I don't think you like learn that
6-week camp.
Yeah, I don't think you learn that much. I think that momentum is huge. I kind of get the vibe that for Figgy, he's like, you said, like a front runner, where if he's doing good, he's like an animal. And I think that
I remember the first few times we saw him fight, you're like, oh my God, he's like a hyena.
I always say that. Like when he fought like Benavidez and stuff, I was like,
he's incredible. I love watching him fight.
So good. And he has like, finishing power, but
and that guillotine, ridiculous.
But I think that Moreno is kind of just like on like hitting that second level. He's a little bit younger. He's like, he's just on a good path right now. And I feel like his confidence is up. I don't know Vieira but that well, but I just kind of, I don't know. My gut's telling me that Brendan Moreno is definitely gonna stay.
I've never heard you say gut. Well, trust your gut. I think it's Brandon Moreno also.
Okay. And then the main event, Francis Ngannou versus Ciryl Gane. Ciryl Gane's a 155 favorite.
Okay.
He's undefeated. I feel like most people just because
he doesn't have a ton of fights though.
No.
How many fights does he have?
10-0. He's 7-0 in the UFC.
That's incredible.
Yeah, so he was 3-0 and went into the UFC.
Has anyone been a UFC champion with less than 10 fights? Well, I think maybe Brock Lesnar. And I think Weidman got it pretty quick too.
He did, but it might have been around there.
Weidman is around 9 or 10 fights.
Yeah.
That's incredible.
Yeah. Especially that's even crazier for Weidman because it's not like the heavyweight division. I think he's a little bit less, but
Brock Lesnar got it in like 3 fights.
Yeah. But I think that for this, like Ciryl Gane just has, I think people might be underestimated just because he's not as well known as Francis. Like Francis is like the one that like common fans are like, oh my God, he's crazy. Right. He can beat.
He's got such an amazing story.
Yeah. They're like, he could beat anyone. I'm like, well, he does have some losses, but I don't know how much like Francis, if he's improving. I don't know how much like he like skill trains. I feel like maybe just kind of gets.
I don't know at all.
I don't know either. I'm just saying, but
the thing that stands out to me is that in the last like 4 years, he's fought like 5 minutes.
Yeah,
he fights like once a year, maybe twice one of those years. But since his loss to Derek Lewis, he's fought like, I think one time he saw the second round, and he finished Stipe at the beginning of the second round. So he's probably fought like 8 minutes.
That's so wild.
In 5 fights. It's for years. Where Ciryl Gane has gone the distance a lot of his fights. He's won, he's at 3rd round submission finishes. I think he's a much better, like, all-around fighter.
Right.
He's savvier. He's got better footwork. He seems to have a better ground game. He has a impeccable takedown defense. He's never been taken down. But he doesn't necessarily go for takedowns. And if you just stand and trade with Francis, all it takes is 1.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't bet on this fight, but of course we'll make a prediction, and I'm predicting Ciryl Gane. But I certainly, if you're a betting person, I wouldn't pick this fight to bet on.
No, heavyweights are, especially these heavyweights, it's too hard to bet on because like you said, it only takes 1. But I think Ciryl Gane's obviously like more well-rounded. He has different ways to win, not just knockouts, but if you look at his submissions, he has heel hook submission, he has arm triangle. Like you don't really see, like especially the heavyweights, like doing all different types of submissions. I feel like that kind of tells you, if you don't know anyone and you look at their submission wins, that kind of helps tell like how good their jiu-jitsu is, because sometimes someone could have a lot of submission wins, but it's all rear naked choke.
And that's basically, that could be the person that's exhausted, or you dropped them and took their back.
Right. But if you have all different types,
but a heel hook is a technical submission.
Yes. Heel hook, head and arm triangle. I think for heavyweights, I definitely like that. So yeah, I'm gonna go with Gane on this one.
Yeah, I am too. But the other interesting component to this fight is that Francis this is the last fight on his contract, which I think is really unusual. They don't usually let like a champion fight out his contract.
Did he want to, or did they?
I think that he kind of wanted to, but he is really adamant about getting like boxing fights, like with Tyson Fury and Anthony Joshua, Deontay Wilder, those like, mega boxing stars.
Fury even mentioned him before.
He did. But I just think like the allure of a Tyson Fury Francis Ngannou fight goes away if Francis Ngannou is no longer the UFC champion. Like even if he wins this fight but doesn't re-sign with UFC, then you're not the UFC champion. So it's kind of hard to be like, if he signed with Bellator and Scott Coker let him do a boxing fight, nobody really cares about. I don't think people really care about the Bellator champion versus Tyson Fury. I think it's the UFC champion versus. I wish that Dana White would allow that.
Well, like he might. One-off. I mean, he did that with McGregor.
Yeah, that's really like Floyd Mayweather though is like 10 times more famous than Tyson Fury.
Yeah.
And Connor's like 50 times more famous than Francis.
Yeah. But I could see Dana White doing that, allowing that before like anyone fighting Jake Paul.
Yeah.
You know
sure.
what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, Tyson Fury, I mean, that's a mega star.
Exactly. Yeah.
It'd be great. But I hope that, I'm not a manager. I don't, I'm not an expert at this stuff, but I think that like Francis needs to understand that the UFC belt is the value. That's the marketing tool. I mean, he's super marketable and well known, but saying UFC champion versus boxing champion, that makes for a super fight.
Yeah, I mean, if Francis gets finished here, then it's
That's
different.
gone.
Yeah,
Right.
if it's a close win, maybe they could still do it just because of popularity, but we'll see.
Yeah,
I'm eager to see what he does after this.
The last part about that fight, I just read a headline, and this maybe you could help me, or maybe even Zane could chime in on this. But I read a headline that Francis was going to be getting paid half of his fight purse in Bitcoin.
Yeah.
And I saw that Kevin Lee negotiated that too with like Eagle FC about getting paid in Bitcoin. And I never really understand that because what am I getting wrong? Like if someone pays you, if you're getting paid $1 million and they pay you $1 million, then I buy $1 million worth of Bitcoin. What's the difference?
Yeah.
Why do you have to get it in Bitcoin?
Well, I wonder if you get it in Bitcoin, if you can avoid taxes.
Yeah, perhaps.
If
it's not that, I never understand that because.
But I don't think
you
UFC
just buy, like I take money and then I buy Bitcoin.
Right. I think
What's the
maybe then
difference?
if you get it in Bitcoin, you probably I don't know. I'm just assuming maybe you can avoid taxes, but I don't even know if like UFC's not giving him that. It's like through his sponsor with Cash App, or he has like a sponsor with Cash App. So it seems like.
I guess I'm just kind of stupid with that thing, but I don't know how it works. Zane, do you know how that works?
No.
So I'm not totally sure right now. I'm reading up on it. But it seems that he just honestly really believes in Bitcoin.
Well, I do too. I mean, everyone should.
That's why I wouldn't.
But
like,
I don't understand.
I buy it.
Like, what's the difference? Why not just buy it yourself?
Like, get your paycheck and then
the
buy
tax loophole?
I have no idea. I'm gonna search it up for you guys.
Come on, Zane.
No, but I don't know. That seems to be like the cool thing to do is just buy it in Bitcoin. But probably it has to be a tax thing. Why else?
Yeah,
otherwise, like you said, you just get your paycheck and then buy Bitcoin.
Yeah. So real quick recap: we got Vieira over Truman. We have Nurmagomedov over Stamen. We have Pereira over Philo. We have Brandon Moreno over Davidson Figueiredo. And then I wouldn't bet on this one, but if you had to, I would go Cyril Gane over Francis.
We agree on all of them.
Everyone.
All right.
One fight on the other undercard we should just mention. He's like a teammate of ours, friend of ours. Matt Frivola is coming back for... he hasn't fought in a while, so it's pretty exciting. He's fighting a guy who's 10-0, 10 finishes, Dana White contender fighter. But Frivola is like a hard matchup for anyone because he's so like aggressive and he's good at grappling. He's good at striking, big gas tank, not afraid to swing. So I love watching him. He's such a nice kid. So we hope he wins too.
Strong Island. All right. And that's our breakdown for UFC 270. Hope you guys enjoyed. Comment your picks below.